What is up, end gamers? Let's get ready to rumble once again. This time we're going to talk about tight ends. That's right, our ADP Royal Rumble. We're going to match up two tight ends with similar ADP and talk about who should come out on top. Two tight ends enter, only one can emerge victorious. All right, so let's get to it. And we're going to start at the very top. No, not Travis Kelce. It's pretty obvious. He's the tight end one. Moving on, though, you got a tough choice to make if you want to go tight end early, but you miss on Kelce, or you just don't want to spend the first round pick on him. Who do you go with next? Is it George Kittle or is it Darren Waller? You can make a case for both guys. Look, one is a more stable offense. The other one has a new quarterback coming in. Is that good or bad, though? Chris, which way do you lean right now, Kittle or Waller?
I think I'm going to surprise you with this pick, but I'm starting to lean Darren Waller simply because I just feel a little bit better about him in that offense because he's the number one guy there, right? He's competing with Bryan Edwards, John Brown, and Henry Ruggs for targets. 117 targets 2 years ago, 145 targets a year ago, last year. I know George Kittle's a beast, and I could definitely make a case for either of these guys. I'm not, but I just feel a little bit better about Darren Waller and those targets. Let's not forget the 49ers added Debo 2 years ago. They added Ayuk last year. Going to have a new quarterback. We don't know, Trey Lance, he's going to run more, might not throw as much, might not target Kittle as much. Not that I'm down on Kittle. I just have Waller a little bit higher now. I'm kind of coming around on them just for that, safety of those targets. You know me, I always chase volume. So I got Darren Waller like a sliver higher than George Kittle.
And I can see that. I want to say, I'm tempted to say here, take the guy who you can get a little bit later. Realistically, that's not going to happen because they'll go within a few picks of each other. So I get it because Waller, like I said, is in a more stable situation. We know who his quarterback is and what he's going to bring to the table. We know they really didn't add anything as far as wide receivers. They basically just swapped out Nelson Aguilar for John Brown. That's basically just staying the same. So with Kittle, though, here's the thing. Look, we don't know what we're getting in Trey Lance, but I think it's going to be better. I feel pretty good saying that they spent number 3 overall pick in the draft because they think he's their guy. And I feel like this offense wants to open it up more, right? That's what they want to do. So I feel pretty good about him. Look, I think that if I'm going to spend an early pick on a tight end, I want a guy who's going to be as high as possible in terms of fantasy points. A guy who could be the number one. I don't think anybody's going to top Kelce, of course, again. But at least I know who's going to be potentially the number 2 tight end. And I think that could be Kittle because we've seen what he's done in the past. So to me, I have a slight lean toward Kittle, but it's really close because, again, if I feel like I can get Waller a few picks later, I'd probably go with Waller. All right, so let's go to the next group here, talk about the next tier of tight ends. Well, there's going to be some healthy debate on Kyle Pitts after he was taken so high by the Atlanta Falcons, not the team that you'd think would get a tight end, but they did. And then you have something that's, not as exciting, but maybe more dependable in TJ Hockenson. So a lot of people think that Hockenson is a top 5 tight end. A lot of people think Pitts will be a top 5 tight end. Chris, you going with the rookie or the, veteran?
Well, you got to go with Kyle Pitts. He's already in the Hall of Fame, isn't he? That's at least that's what everybody tells me. He's already in the Hall of Fame. No, I'm not going with Kyle Pitts here. Look, I was down on TJ Hockenson at the start of the offseason, but look at what the Lions have done. They've improved the offensive line, and they have not improved their pass weapons. I know everybody's all excited about St. Brown, but he's not a great prospect to me. He went in the 4th round. I don't think he's a threat. I think TJ Hockenson is going to be the number 1 or number 2 target guy on this offense. That's probably going to be playing from behind. Probably going to have to be throwing the ball a lot. So I'm coming around on TJ Hockenson. And here's a problem for me with Kyle Pitts. I get it. He's a generational talent, maybe the best tight end prospect ever, blah, blah, blah. Look at the Falcons last year. The number 3 targeted guy was Russell Gage. He had 72 catches for 783 yards. And that was with Julio barely playing, right? Only playing like half the season. What if Julio's still there? What if Julio stays healthy? You're looking at Kyle Pitts as a potential 3rd option on a team with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. Nothing against the talent. I just don't think the opportunity is there for Kyle Pitts in year 1. Sure, maybe year 2, year 3, he breaks out and he's the every year number 1 tight end. But right now, year 1, I think people are way, way, way too high on him. For me, TJ Hockenson over Kyle Pitts all day.
You know, I'm 100% with you on this. In Dynasty, sure, it's Pitts all day. In redraft, it's not Pitts. Look, it's just not. Unless you tell me tomorrow that Julio Jones is getting traded and that's it, you know, they're going to have Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage and whoever else are at wide receiver, then maybe I'm interested in Pitts because I think, okay, this was their plan all along. But as long as Julio and Ridley are there, yeah, Pitts will be at best the third target. And yeah, I get it. Falcons are going to pass a ton. Matt Ryan's a good quarterback. Well, you know what? The Lions are going to have to pass a ton too. They don't have Julio or Ridley. What do they have at wide receiver? And we always talk about a tight end will thrive when he can be the number one target, just like Waller with the Raiders, right? Because they don't have high shelf, top shelf, high end, whatever you want to call it, wide receivers to throw to. So I feel like Hockenson not only is the more dependable guy, but also he's just going to outperform Pitts. All right, and then we go maybe a little step further down, but barely. We want to keep this still, of course, relevant to most leagues. Tight ends that are going to actually be drafted. You have a decision to make between Noah Fant and a guy like Dallas Goedert, still pretty young guys here. Look, Philadelphia, we don't know what we're getting there as far as the offense. Zach Ertz supposedly going to be traded. He's not even showing up to the camps because he thinks trade's going to happen any day now. And then Noah Fant, well, we kind of know what we're getting there, except that the quarterback situation isn't exactly the most thrilling. So tell me which way you're leaning.
I'm leaning Fant. Fant is my guy. He's my late round tight end this year who I think will, you know, take that leap to the next level. If you look at his stats so far this year, he's progressed from year 1 to year 2. Whereas if you look at Dallas Goedert, yeah, he progressed from year 1 to year 2, but then in year 3, he just kind of did what he did in year 2 again. I mean, I get it. Zach Ertz is gone. That's helpful. But Zach Ertz was really not even there last year, right? And he was out there on the field, but he wasn't getting targeted or anything. And I do worry with Jalen Hurts. He's going to look downfield more. He's going to look to his receivers more. Plus, he's going to run more. And yeah, the quarterback situation there in Denver isn't great. But Noah Fant was good. Whoever the quarterback was last year, it didn't even matter. He was a stud when he was on the field. He was great when he was on the field. I mean, people forget this guy was like a weekly top 5 tight end last year when he was healthy. I think that continues into 2021, regardless of who his quarterback is. So for me, Noah Fant.
Also going with Fant, not just because I think he's a little bit more athletic and a guy who can stretch the field as opposed to Goddard, who is a solid tight end, but I don't feel like he's ever going to be maybe high-end fantasy tight end. I do feel like Hurts is going to target his wideouts more. We saw him go deeper with the ball and, you know, really stretch the field. And when Goddard was on the field with Hurts, those 4 games that Hurts played, Goddard averaged 48.5 yards, no touchdowns in that stretch. I know Zach Ertz was still there. Maybe he's not going to be there this year. Who knows? But still, I don't think this is going to be an offense that leans heavily towards the tight end like it did with Doug Peterson. So Goddard will be solid, but he's not going to really move the needle too much for you in fantasy as opposed to Fant. You know, if it's Teddy Bridgewater, maybe it's a little more conservative in offense. There is the risk that they just run the ball more with Gordon and Javonte Williams there, but still, I feel like that could be a really good offense, whereas Philadelphia, it's just still, you know, Hurts, I feel like, talked about going to throw it to the wide receivers and really take off and run quite a bit. That's going to eat into some of the tight end value. So it's close, but for me, I would definitely go with the upside of Fant. All right, that's our tight end Royal Rumble. You know we're going to keep doing this all offseason long with different positions. Tell us what you think. Is Kyle Pitts just going to be the tight end 1 this year? Come out and say it if you think so. Hit us up with a comment on here. If you like what we do, hit us with a thumbs up. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. All right, thanks for watching.